I'm striving to get rich. That's why I almost went 2 years without buying shoes and fits. Things change now. My mom hearing me with my music and she look a little proud.
Yo, what's up, world? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in. And some news broke this morning that the Washington football team, still sounds weird for me to say that, but the Washington football team has officially benched Dwayne Haskins in favor of Kyle Allen. And not only have they benched Dwayne Haskins, they've demoted him to third string behind the starter Allen and also behind Alex Smith. And I wonder in my head, what went wrong in Washington with Haskins? Here's number one. I think number one, even though as much as I love Haskins, even because he went to the Ohio State University, as much as I love Haskins as a quarterback, I just really don't think he was necessarily ready to start early in year one. And I feel that under John Gruden and last year's regime, I don't think any quarterback that was in that system was really going to grow, because at the end of the day, his time was basically over as the coach in Washington. It did not mesh well, and I feel Gruden really didn't want Haskins there in the first place because he was comfortable with Case Keenum last year. So I think that's number one, the reason why his growth was stunted. And I think number two, I think he really should have sat at least a year behind an experienced veteran. If Alex Smith was healthy, somebody like him. I just really feel that as much as I love Haskins, I just think he should have sat a year and really get to learn an NFL's type of offense. Because at Ohio State, his offense was ran a little bit differently. So I just feel he should have sat a year, developed, and watched the quarterback ahead of him and just really learn the toolage of the NFL. And I think another reason why Haskins necessarily failed as a quarterback in Washington, let's just face it, this organization is god awful when it comes to free agency, when it comes to drafting, when it comes to a lot of their players and a lot of their personnel decisions. This franchise, let's just face it, has not really gotten the ball rolling since the early 90s and late 80s, when they really had their success and led them to 2 Super Bowl championships under Joe Gibbs. So this football team has really not been necessarily dominant or a steady winner in over at least 30 years. So this franchise is not greatly ran. A quarterback really hasn't developed under this franchise in quite a long time. Even RG3 did not pan out because of a lot of things that had to do with the organization. So I feel that plays a part in Dwayne Haskins, I don't want to say failing, but him being benched is just a lot of factors. And another factor that I believe really stunted it or changed a lot of things is the coaching change regime. The entire coaching change, not only just the head coach, but the offensive staff changed from year one to year two. So think you're coming into year one, you learn one offense, and then you're coming into year two and you have to learn an entirely different system. And then not only that, you're learning an entirely different system with a pandemic going on. So you don't have those on-field reps necessarily that you would need to have in order to really get the offense down. So when you have a lot of those changes, a bad organization, and a coaching staff that doesn't let you develop and take your lumps as a quarterback, it's going to really hurt you. And it hurts that he's going to be benched after game number 4 in his first full season as an NFL starter. Now it just explains to me more why Ron Rivera and the organization pulled off the trade to acquire Kyle Allen from the Carolina Panthers, because I feel Rivera was more comfortable with Allen running his offense versus Dwayne Haskins. So that's another thing that really hurts. And let's just face it, it's not like this Washington football team is really going to compete for anything significant. They're not really going to compete for a playoff spot with the roster constructed. They're not really going to compete for the division. Well, maybe in the NFC East, because the NFC East is god-awful. But this team is really not going to make any noise. And I feel this could have been a year where it takes this organization to develop, because you're not going anywhere year one with a coaching change and the roster constructed the way you have. Because outside of Terry McLaurin, who also went to The Ohio State University, you don't really have a ton of weapons around Dwayne Haskins. In any offense, you're going to have weapons that complement the quarterback. And Terry McLaurin has been the #1 receiver, and outside of that, you really don't have much on that Washington roster. As the weaponry for Dwayne Haskins, or whoever the quarterback is for the Washington franchise, sits, you have Terry McLaurin, who's been a clear-cut #1 receiver, Steven Sims Jr., who's been young and ineffective. Well, not necessarily ineffective, but he's not one of those weapons that is a go-to. You have Dontrell Inman, who's been bounced around throughout the league. Logan Thomas, who's been bounced around throughout the league. You have one of your draft picks, Bryce Love, who's on injured reserve. You have running backs Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick, and Peyton Barber. Let's face it, those weapons are not really elite, top tier, or they're just above average or just average weapons. So when you don't have the weaponry around a young quarterback to help him develop, he's going to struggle. And also that you have an entire coaching change from year one to year two when you're dealing with a pandemic. So it's not like Dwayne Haskins was really set up to succeed in Washington anyway. So it is easier to see this franchise make a big mistake in benching him when you don't let him develop, when he's only started 11 career games. He's only had 11 career starts, and 7 last year. You had a coaching change, an offense change, and this year you have a new offense and a coaching change. So what quarterback is really going to develop under such structural change and such coaching change and an offensive change like that? You're not going to really develop any type of quarterback when you're having so much in and around and turnaround in your franchise. So it just sucks to see that he wasn't given his chance to develop and take his lumps as a quarterback, because at the end of the day, a quarterback is going to need reps. He's going to need an opportunity. He's going to need a franchise that absolutely believes in him. And it felt like from day one of Ron Rivera's coaching hire, I don't really feel he really trusted Haskins. I don't feel that Rivera really wanted Haskins as his quarterback. I just don't feel that he had the structural balance and the push to help him be a success in Washington. So it hurts to see that he's benched, and not only benched, he's a third-string quarterback now. At the end of the day, I really want Haskins to succeed, and to succeed with all that's going on, he has to get out of Washington. He really has to get out of that organization and find the organization that's really going to believe in him and is really going to help him develop as a quarterback. Because I still see potential there. I still see the fact of he can develop and turn into a good quality starting quarterback in the NFL. It's just with all the surrounding factors around him, he really was not given that chance, and he really was not bought into by the coaching staff now, and he really was not pushed by the coaching staff to really have that certain success. So when you have all that going on, it's just set up for Dwayne Haskins to really fail as a quarterback in this league. I still believe in him, and I'm not just saying that just because I'm biased for Ohio State. I've watched him play in the NFL, and you can see something there. It's just he needs time to develop that he really wasn't afforded as an NFL quarterback. But that's all I have for you guys today. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, as we are still on that 1,000 subscriber grind. So click that subscribe button so we can get to that plateau. But that's all I've got. APW Sports signing out. Make sure you guys stay safe. Have a great and excellent day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
I wanna say thank you to my mom and my daddy for making love the night that you had me. Wanna thank my friends, my sister, and my brother.